Act 1, Scene 7. This is the scene directly before the murder of King Duncan, and Macbeth is having serious doubts about this, and he doesn't think he should go forward with the crime. Okay? We are at Macbeth's castle, but he has stepped away from the banqueting hall, which is a high offence, very rude. But he is having a crisis of conscience, and he is alone in this soliloquy, and he's expressing his doubts. So Macbeth solo here. If it were to be done, when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch up his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be all and end all here. So if it has to be done, it has to be done quickly. But I fear it will not be contained to this one thing. We are going to be exposed, we're going to be caught. There will be consequences for this. But here upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases, we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instruction, which being taught return to plague the inventor, meaning this will come back to bite us. This isn't the kind of crime you get away with. So I don't think we should do this. That's number one. He's having crazy important doubts. That's very important. That's the first point we're making here. There are like 3 points in this whole soliloquy. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our lips, meaning twofold. It's a poison chalice. It's a beautiful thing to be the king, but what good is it if it's poisoned? And also twofold, this idea that if we put out this poison into the world, it will come back to bite us. This isn't the first time Shakespeare uses the poison chalice. The same in Hamlet at the end, Queen Gertrude drinks from a poison chalice. And this is number 2 point. This is the second point. Duncan is here in full trust. He is a good and honest king and a good man, and he's here to honour Macbeth for his bravery in Scotland. Underline this. He's here in double trust. First, I am his kinsman, meaning I'm his cousin. He doesn't expect that I would murder him. And his subject, strong both against the deed. So I'm his kinsman and his subject. So I should be against the murder of the king, not considering committing it. And then as his host, who should against his murder shut the door. I should be the one as host shutting the door against his murder instead of considering perpetrating it. Not bear the knife myself. And here's number 3. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. He's such a good man. He has borne his faculties so meek. He is blessed and meek as a man, as a king. He has been so clear in his great office. He's been a good king throughout. His virtues, like his goodness, will plead trumpet-tongued. The angels will scream when they see this murder taking place. Trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation, the hellish act of him being killed. So I would underline all of that from besides right up as far as taking off. And pity like a newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye. So heaven will be watching. The cherubims, everybody will be watching, and they will blow this cruel act sky high. This cannot be contained. This has to come back to bite us. That tears shall drown the wind. Underlining that as well, tears drowning the wind, another reference to pathetic fallacy. Now, in the coming scenes, there are many, many references to pathetic fallacy, so it's very important that you note the before and the after. We had it with the witches when they land, they're always surrounded with by thunder and lightning, and here he's saying that the tears of the angels will drown, so it will cry, because the rain will drown Scotland. Very importantly here at the end, and highlighting this too, I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent. but only vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other. Meaning, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I have no reason to do this. But the ambition inside me is like an addiction. I have to do it. It's making me do something that I would otherwise never consider. So now we have Lady Macbeth entering. And Macbeth asks her, what's happening in the banqueting hall. How now? What news? He has almost supped. Why have you left the chamber? Why are you showing this display of rudeness to our king? Macbeth says, have he asked for me? Know you not that he has? Of course he's asked for you. Why are you not at your place? Macbeth says to his wife, we will proceed no further in this business. We'll just leave it. This is too much. He hath honoured me of late, and I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people. So he has honoured me lately by, of course, advancing my career, naming me Thane of Cawdor, and I have golden opinions from all kinds of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast away so soon. Meaning, can't I, bask in that for a while and and not cast it off so soon? Lady Macbeth. Now, here she is, pulling on and calling upon the spirits that she used to kind of unsex her and to strip away her femininity, because she is not going to allow Macbeth to fail in this. She knows he wants it. She feels it's her job to push him on to do it. So now she's going to use the most important tool that she has left. She is going to emasculate him. Now, this is really important. This is a highly regarded soldier in Scotland. He's regarded as the saviour of Scotland at this moment. And his wife is now going to pick at his masculinity and make him feel small in his own home. She knows what she's doing. Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Meaning, were you drunk when you promised me these things? Hath it slept since? You coward, is what she means. And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely. So now you just look pathetic to me, pale and green and, green like sickly. From this time I shall account thy love. Meaning, if you want to prove your love to me, you're going to have to act in the way that you had been acting, like the way when you were promising to kill this king. So this is not something they've just cooked up. This is clearly something that they have discussed among themselves. And this is their opportunity. The king is here. He couldn't trust them anymore. It's perfect. From this time I shall account thy love. Art thou afeared to be the same in thine own act and valour as thou art in desire? Don't you want to be who you can be, the best that you can be? All you have to do is this one thing, and then you can be the best thing that you can be. Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem? Meaning, you're not going to be able to live with yourself until you've achieved your ambition. Are you going to live as a coward? And live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like a poor cat in the adage. Macbeth says, prithee. So give me peace. Stop emasculating me. Don't say these things to me. I mean, all I want to do is not kill a king. I think that's proper. I think we should not be considering this immoral, horrendous, heinous act that is against God and man and every law. Prithee, peace. I dare not do all that may become a man. I dare do all that may become a man. I'm happy to do what a man should do, but he who dares more is none. And she comes at him again with the emasculation. What beast was it then that made you break this enterprise with me? When thou durst do it, then you were a man. So you were a man when you were promising to do these things, implying you're not a man now. Consider the cultural context. It's 400 years ago. His masculinity is incredibly important to him. his place, his status, his stature in Scotland, all of these things are incredibly important to him. And at home, his wife is saying, you're not a man. This is very, very important. And it's one of the big tools she employs to egg him on to committing this crime. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man, meaning you could be a real man if you did this. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and their fitness now does unmake you. So you are being unmade by this pathetic faltering. You had said you were going to do it, you need to do it. And then she pulls out this very important big gun here. I have given suck, and I know how tender it is to love the babe that milks me. And so she's saying, I have breastfed in my time, and I know how tender that process is. But I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from its boneless gum and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this. So that's pretty self-explanatory, but she's saying that if she had promised even the most horrendous, heinous thing, to take an innocent baby from her breast and dash its brains out against the wall, she would do it if she had promised him that she would do it. So that is an extreme anecdote she's using there. It's designed to shock. Shakespeare using this shocking language the audience would have been shocked by. Macbeth is shocked by. We are shocked by it when we hear it. And she's using every single piece of power. She's chastising him with the valour of her tongue. She's pouring her poison into his ear to give him the strength he needs to commit this murder. And Macbeth says, and if we should fail? Like, what if we fail? Lady Macbeth, we fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place and we'll not fail. For want of a better phrase, man up. That's what she's saying. For want of a better phrase. You need to get it together. You need to get your courage to the sticking place. You need to stick by what you said you were going to do. And then we won't fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him. When Duncan is asleep, which he must sleep soon because he's exhausted from his long journey. Soundly invite him. His two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory the warder of the brain shall be a fume and the receipt of reason a limebeck only, when in swinish sleep their drenched natures lie as in a death. What cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? So, once Duncan is softly and safely asleep, his two chamberlains, the men who are there to guard him, I'm going to give them wine and beer and take their reason prisoner and basically get them into a drunken, swinish sleep. Well, what then can we not do if his guards are asleep? What not put upon his spongy officers who shall bear the guilt of our great quell? And of course, they will be implicated in the murder because they will have been asleep during the murder. We'll go in, we'll get it done, and the murder will be placed safely on the chamberlains. And Macbeth says, bring forth men, children only, for thy undaunted mettle should compose nothing but males. Here's a reference to gender again, and what he says is, Lady Macbeth, if you ever have children, only have men, because you possess a manly spirit. And this is really important because she was talking in scene 5 about stripping away all her femininity. Now she has spoken of having breastfed, but in those days women could breastfeed children that weren't their own. So the suggestion here is that if she were to have a child, she should only have men. Will it not be received when we have nothing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber and used their very daggers, that they have done it? So, how are we going to get away with this? I mean, they're going to say that it wasn't them. Who dares receive it other? as we shall make our griefs and clamour roar upon his death. Nobody would believe it was us. We're going to make our grief clamour. We're going to scream. We're going to wail at the horror of our great King Duncan having been murdered in our home. Very importantly here, Macbeth says, I am settled, and bend up each corporal agent to this terrible feat, meaning I am physically ready to do this. I'm going to do this. Away and mock the time with fairest show. Underline that. Away and mock the time with fairest show, meaning put on your best show. Be duplicitous, be two-faced. Highlight this as well. False face must hide what the false heart doth know. We must put on our two-faced act. So that concludes Act 1. And I suppose it's important to just look back on this particular scene and look how Lady Macbeth is very much in control of her husband at this time. He's wavering, he's full of doubt. He doesn't necessarily want to do it, but his ambition is strong enough that he will do it. It's a very complex situation. She knows he needs the assistance in order to commit this heinous crime. And she is more than willing to use every tool at her disposal, emasculating him, calling him less of a man, talking about killing a child herself if she had promised to do so. But it's all for him. And now he is steady and he is ready and he is going to kill his king. So he has gone from brave Macbeth, Belana's bridegroom in scene 2, to now intent on murdering his cousin and his king.